Well, hello, everybody.
Hello.
How's it go?
What up?
Welcome to the chat for being here. Thanks. And welcome you guys. Beard, hey man, how's it going?
Pretty good. Not my best day today, but it's going to get better from here on out. I can guarantee you. I always have fun hanging out with you guys.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, but it's always good having you, man.
Thank you.
And the beard, of course. Mm-hmm. Shieldwall, hey man, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going? Great to be here. Love this movie. Really impacted me as a child watching this, like a 10-year-old or whatever. Seeing it for the first time was pretty great, and it kind of set my standards for heroic last stand kind of movies and things like that. So, and it's also based on a true story, so can't get much better than that.
Right.
But yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Good to have you. And welcoming back the Jinja Ninja, man. Hey, James. How's it going?
Going pretty good. Thanks for having me on again. Excited to talk about this movie. It's, again, like Shieldwall. I remember watching when I was a kid. It's one of those movies, kind of like Ben-Hur, very epic, classic movie that you would see on like a random Sunday or something. And yeah, and once you started watching it, you couldn't stop. You couldn't turn it off. And it's just one of those great war movies when you're a kid to watch. And it's always it's interesting to watch it again whenever you get older. And I have to. I'll talk about it later, but I made a little bit of mistake whenever I was watching this movie this time. Oh boy! But thanks again for having me on.
It's good to have you on again, man. Yeah, definitely. Good to have you. And Mando, is that a Cobra hat?
No, it's a Spider-Man logo. Nope.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, look at that.
Spider-Man. Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
I mean,
how's
it
it going,
look
Mando?
like the Cobra logo. It's going. I'm having a much better week this week than I had a couple of weeks ago and all of that good stuff. It's nice to be free and not incarcerated. So yeah, I this movie I actually saw when I was younger. I forgot that I saw it when I was younger, but it was also on the same channel that some of the older movies would come on, like Ben-Hur, like the 10 Commandments and stuff like that. So I saw it probably on one of those reruns, and watching it back, I'm just like, huh. Because I've got friends who were missionaries in Africa. I forget which country specifically. I think one was South African and another one was from Zimbabwe, or they were missionaries there. And so like having the missionary in this movie, I was like, huh, I wonder if my missionary friend has seen this movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's good to have you on again, Mando. And free.
Yes. It's good to be back. And free.
Hey Matt, what's going on? It's good to have you back on. It's been a little bit, but it's always good to get you back on.
It's good to be back, brother. Let's snap into this movie.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Correct you,
Cream
Jacob.
of the crop.
You have to address him properly as Lieutenant Mattville Bearhead.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
The third.
Sorry. The third.
He's funny. I'll say it later, but
so yeah,
he starts out as a very unlikable character and is very likable by the end. It's like,
yeah,
that's the character Michael Caine plays.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
It's definitely got a good arc.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, interesting story with the real life guy too. I think one of his grandfather or father fought in the Revolutionary War.
It was the Napoleonic Wars.
Side.
Oh, really?
Well, he's an officer.
Yeah, and he fought Napoleonic Wars too. I think it was his grandfather fought in the Revolutionary War, and father fought in the.
His father fought in the Napoleonic Wars.
Napoleonic.
Yeah.
Remember, in the olden days before modern military, in England and I guess in France and whatever, nobility were expected to serve as officers in military.
Always.
True.
Yeah. If you were a noble or of a royal house, you were going to be an officer, whether or not you were qualified. Yeah. I was reading War and Peace for a while there, and I was just like, I see why most people were not good officers.
His father was a colonel, so he was able to get his commission through that, basically.
Right. So, yeah, so here, John Chard was the commanding officer in it. And share
Yeah, he was the royal engineer that just happened to outrank
right.
Bromhead.
Yeah, now
By
if
what,
I remember
like a month?
if I remember the real story correctly versus the movie depiction of it, he was in the area with his royal engineers and just happened to be there. Like he was, like there was no like
They were just stopping through. I think they weren't
Yeah.
actually building a bridge. They just kind of
Yeah.
were there to get
Yeah.
resupplied. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
for
Bad
water
timing.
and stuff.
Because the British had so to put this movie into context, this takes place in I think what were called either the Anglo-Zulu Wars or the British Zulu Wars, and so like 100 years earlier, the Zulu tribe had split off of either the Ngozi or the Ngali or something like that, and formed their own tribes. And then Shaka unified them under the Zulu kingdom with more modern tactics and economics and stuff. And then his people became very militaristic and wanted to conquer. And the tribes of the British were wanted to join the United Kingdom, so to speak. We're like, hey, we don't want to be conquered and enslaved by the Zulus, so we'll side with you guys. And that's kind of where this war. There's other conflicts going on, like the Zulus versus some other tribes and all that sort of stuff. It's a very this is also the time period when the British are trying to stamp out slavery in the world. So it's a very convoluted historical thing going on.
Yeah, and this is Brumhead, the real guy. Very interesting reads on both of these guys.
11 Victoria Crosses given out for that single action, which is the most ever in one action. And there's speculation. I mean, it was heroic defense. Don't get me wrong, but there's speculation that they did that to kind of soothe the pain of losing 1,500 or more people at Iswan de Lahara earlier that day or the day before, which was a huge disaster for the British. Huge disaster.
So this is a map of the area. It was the Drakensberg mountain range. So I'm guessing like in here.
Yeah.
Right. And why everything like this is called the Orange River that goes through there, through this like that, is because this was originally settled by the Dutch.
Yeah.
And
right.
They named everything orange. There was a place called Orange Free State in there, which because the Prince of Orange was the ruler of the Dutch.
So he basically did an Alexander the Great thing when he was just dropping Alexandrias
they
everywhere.
named it after him to honor him.
I know.
Right, but yeah, he was very popular when he was in charge of the, in that time period. But I think he was a little bit before this, like 100 years before they actually got.
Yeah, I think the Dutch became the Boer people.
Yeah, right, there. The Boers, and that's why Afrikaners is what they speak there now. Is like a Dutch mix with a bunch of other languages and stuff.
I actually had some friends who were from South Africa, and then I had another friend who spoke Dutch because she was from the Netherlands. No, not.
Yes,
one of the Dutch
Jay Goodwin. It's William of Orange. That's who it is.
One of the Dutch-speaking countries, and like I introduced them because I was like, "You're Afrikaans," because I didn't know at the time that Afrikaans was based off Dutch. I was like, "That sounds like Dutch." My friend who speaks Dutch is also like, "You guys should meet," and they became great friends after that because she could understand what they were saying, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you can understand us."
These that landscape Jacob just had up there, there were multiple times in the film that I know for a fact they were filming out there actually in nature, but it still looked so like nature itself seemed so too perfect. It seemed like it was a giant matte painting behind them.
It was,
I
but
know
it
it
was
wasn't,
on
but it looked like it.
location, and so
Yeah, I
it looked
know.
really cool. Like I kept thinking, man, this looks like Kong Island or something, or some kind of Godzilla thing is going to come out of there, or like some area for like House of the Dragon or something. Because yeah, it looked really nice.
Yeah.
And the
Also,
time
I
period this
found
takes
this
place in,
article
which
too.
was
Looks interesting.
1888 or so. So the Boer republics, which were the Dutch colonies down there, basically to keep it simple. That's where Tolkien's father moved them to for quite a while. For his first several years, him and his brother lived down there, and then they went back with his mother to England to visit the mother's side of the family, and that's when the father died down there, like while they were away. So
Yeah, the battle takes place in
So, yeah,
January 23rd and 24th of 1879. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but remember, that's the summertime down there.
right.
Mm-hmm.
They're like
So I'm not gonna
upside down.
read the whole thing, but this was interesting. Zulu chief defends epic 1964 film starring Michael Caine after it is
Yep.
branded racist, saying it
Mhm.
reflects the respect and the British and tribal warriors had for each other.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, this
and
because these
he was
modern
actually in
woke
it.
people.
So
Yeah. Well, these modern woke people, they change everything to fit their worldview. You know what I mean? And the people who lived in these films, lived in these times and films, don't agree. You know?
Yeah, because this guy, if I remember
Right.
reading right, he played the chief, which was like his great grandfather or something in the film,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which is a big deal.
Right.
They also had a Zulu princess that was a historian on site that knew
Yeah.
all the details of their side of the battle to make sure it was as accurate as possible.
Yep.
And basically, all the extras that played Zulus were of tribes that had family members that fought and died in that fight. So
Yep.
everybody there was part of it. It was an equal part of history.
Oh yeah, the people that were playing the Zulus were real Zulus.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were people they got to do
Yep.
that. And I mean, we can recognize that if you want to talk about colonialism and whatever, that it was the British that did invade. They crossed the river, and so the Zulu king responded to that, which quote unquote invasion, and but that's how things are. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's just the way it was. So that's the context of
Right.
the movie.
History, yes, the phrase history is written by the victors and stuff, but also like history is history. Like there's bad, there's good, there's ugly, there's great. Like it's not like we can pontificate on history all we want to and put our own thoughts, our own opinions, our own morals and values and ethics onto it. But it is what it is. It's history. Like
Yep.
Well, we were talking about Shogun off the air. It's the same thing. Like they're trying to impose their sort of woke view on it, where people in Japan love Shogun, the original in the book. You know, that they
Yeah.
don't view it as a white savior thing or whatever they will try to call it. You know, these the people from these local areas don't necessarily fall into the same ideology of the people in our areas pushing this nonsense.
Well, that's just it. If you want to talk about that, the new show Shogun, it is definitely not a white saber trope because Blackthorn, increasingly as the show goes on, it has less and less to do in it.
Well,
To the point where
yeah,
there's whole episodes where he's just kind of sitting around.
they make Blackthorn and Tornaga look weak compared to the original in the book, but that's a different.
It's still a great show.
Yeah, it is. It's just not as good as it could have been.
Yeah.
So CLS says this is in his top like 20 films or whatever, but he couldn't stick around. He'll catch the replay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for dropping by, man. So yeah, this actually is a movie. It was made in 79, Zulu Dawn. So if you want to know more about that battle, watch that movie.
Yeah, that's another. I think I saw that movie first, and then I saw Zulu.
Cool.
Isn't there also? I was reading something about this recently. Isn't there an actual like African movie that's like the another version of this as well? That's also supposed to be pretty good.
That sounds
I
familiar,
think
but I
there
can't
was
place the
a
name.
there was
I think that guy
a
that connected with you on Twitter mentioned it.
silent
Jacob. Let's see if I
movie,
can
yeah.
find it. Yeah, because it's got the attention of
Yeah.
somebody in South Africa that really likes this.
So just to put this in context, the Zulu army that destroyed the troops at Islam de Lahara was 20,000 troops. So then this troop
Right.
here is a reserve troop that because the king had them out like spread out so they could like try to intercept the other columns that the British had. And so these troops missed the battle at Islam de Lahara. So they were like, well, we know about this other place called Rorke's Drift. Let's go down there and see if we can, get a taste of battle so that you could have something to talk about, and show our honor and all that. So that's why they went there.
Yeah, and regarding that, that South African silent film, it's called Symbol of Sacrifice, but apparently the entirety was not preserved, so there's only a few clips in the Pretoria Film Archives and a few of it on YouTube. Yeah, that's according to Trevor Moses 15 on Twitter.
Is it an older
reached
film?
out.
Like older than these?
Yeah, it's a silent film.
Okay, so it must have been.
Yeah, it's
It's a South African film.
1918, I think.
Okay. For the movie purposes, this is it's called Where They Live is called a kraal, and this is way smaller than it really would have been.
I'm sorry. I can't bring everything. I'm sorry.
I love it.
What's this about cheesecake?
I wasn't even told about the cheesecake either, man.
There they are right there, White
Did
Bear,
someone say
on the
cheesecake?
chief, where you can see it right there. He's showing them to you.
Yes.
Oh, they're definitely. I was a little surprised for 1964. I was like, this is very National Geographic. That's for sure. Nowadays, I don't
theatrical
know.
movies would have had the boobishness up there with stuff like this.
Yeah,
it would have been blurred out on TV.
I can still remember when my parents rented The Gods Must Be Crazy and totally forgot that they were just out. And like me and my brother are sitting there like, yeah, this is a funny movie. Come watch it.
Yeah,
like stand in front of the TV.
That's a good movie. The Gods Must Be Crazy. It's about a Coke bottle. This plane, the pilot throws a Coke bottle out, and these hunter-gatherer people find it. And start using it for
great.
Fighting over it and stuff, and using it for all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
I need to add that to the list of like suggestions.
With these African tribes and to maintain a sense of authenticity, unfortunately, the way we wear clothes are not the way that all civilizations wear clothes, and it's in a hot climate, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this missionary and his daughter are Swedish, right? I think they're Swedish or Swiss. I think they're Swedish.
That sounds. I thought they were Dutch.
They're from Denmark. Yeah. It was is that one guy who was from?
They're Danish.
Okay, maybe they're Danish, right? Which is not Dutch. It's different.
So Dutch are from Netherlands. Danes are from Denmark.
That's all the same.
I knew it started with a D. I'm sorry.
They're all a bunch of.
So they're at a wedding.
Right. So all of these, there's 2 rows of dancers, and they're all getting married. And then, so the daughter is like, I can't believe that all these women have to marry all these old men and all this kind of stuff. Basically, something you'd hear now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he even points it out to her. He's like, European women will marry older, rich men to find a better life. But he did point out at some point that he doesn't find it sad that all these women are marrying men that are basically going to be sent off to die because every man is a warrior.
Well, the idea would be with the tribal aspect of possibly getting children from those men before they go to die.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Got to keep the
Right.
population going.
Right.
Well, that's the population, but those are warriors, so they're considered strong bloodline, so they want to,
Yeah, I don't know how you're going to handle this one, Jacob. Like, you're going to have to skip this. Because if you, it's already getting, yep. Basically, all that happens is a runner comes in the middle of the wedding, a messenger, and he tells the king, keep going. He tells the king that the British have crossed the river and they've been massacred at Isman de Lahara. So they're like, oh, we need to get out of here. And somebody
like,
tries to
"These
stop
people
him, and the
about to-"
king's like, I'll let him go. To the point where this guy tried to stop him. I think what he wanted was the girl. And one of the other guys stabs him at the king's command.
I want to marry this one.
Yep, or something. So,
And to Melvin, I don't know. Nigel Green was also pretty famous there, Melvin.
Yeah, see, this guy here wants to stop him from leaving. And so that guy, see the blood on his spear, he just shanked that dude. And then they're going to get out of there.
Did y'all notice the wagon that they run over the dude that just got
Yeah, they run over him after, like later. And the thing is that the king is I guess he converted to Christianity, kind of, sort of. Because this guy says that the king is actually part of his parish.
Right.
Well, okay. So in terms of real world historical events, a lot of people converted to Christianity to make alliances with the European nations. Because I hate to sound the way I am, but most rich people and nobles historically could care less and didn't really believe in religious stuff. It was just a convenient economic and political thing for them to be,
Yep.
So the idea of like in the New World when the conquistadors came and the Aztecs, the tribes that they were enslaving and murdering, well, like the tribes were like, wait a minute, you mean your God doesn't require human sacrifice or slavery, and you won't kidnap us? Hey, Christianity all the way, It's like, and the Aztecs are that way, It's like,
you'll help us fight the Aztecs. Okay.
Yeah, they're over there. Let's just got those gun things, and it was the same thing in Africa. They're like there's a lot of warfare going on and economics and stuff. It's just the way the world was.
Yeah, look at that shot right there with the clouds on the mountains.
It's beautiful.
Stuff. I'm telling you, it looks like Kong Island or something. King Kong be running around out here.
It does. And that picture I showed, pull that up real quick.
Well, interestingly enough, Jay, that's where like religions like voodoo came from. Like they accepted Catholicism, and just put it at the top of their local tribal religion, and their tribal deities became the spirits that the community got to God with, like the martyrs and the saints in Christianity do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, these landscapes don't look real. I know they are, but they don't. I mean, they did a really good job making sure that they had it their lenses set to infinity to capture all the detail they possibly could.
Well, they also shot it with very good cameras and good color film, high quality stuff. Although I don't know if the version we're watching has been 4K and all that kind of stuff.
I always thought that like movies from the 1960s, you can tell them apart from movies before and after with the way the coloration looks.
Right.
And
yes.
all,
Yeah, it has that
Is that
certain
the same,
kind of
same mountain range?
It's not the same.
Yeah,
angle,
it is.
but
That's
yes,
exactly the same mountain
Yes.
range. You can tell by the two things on the end. Because later on in the movie, it shows it without the clouds over it. I believe that's facing north. Because they keep saying defend the north wall, and when they send people up there, that mountain is behind it.
I have to point out.
Here they are.
This is a dumb place to build a bridge.
Well,
You're
they
at
could
the
just walk
widest
across
part.
this thing down here, where at the bottom.
Or if you need to bring wagons across or whatever, just build it a little bit further upstream and drive some pillars into the ground, and you only need 3 of those sections.
I think they just picked this because it was because if you look at the up river, it's almost dry. Like that's ground right there, and down here it doesn't look like much. So this is probably just like a little pond or whatever.
That's probably an anti-flooding pond.
Little, yeah, because it has a retaining wall. So they were just like, well, we'll just make a bridge here because he's got to be making a bridge. Although when they fall in, the water
told me to make a bridge,
reasonably deep.
I mean, as we learned in the bridge over River Kwai, the British are the only ones that can build bridges, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
That soup doesn't look very appetizing.
No, it doesn't. He pulled that off there. It looked like
when I first saw this, I was like,
are they making
is that
shoe
soap
polish?
water?
What are they doing?
Well, that's probably the way they used to make stew back. This was true in medieval times, and even then, that pot would have been on that heat for months. Like they just keep adding ingredients to it as it goes down, and because it's always heated, it never gets bad or anything. As long as it's kept at that boiling temperature, no bacteria ever develops or whatever. So it's like a rolling stew.
You just add random stuff to it whenever.
Yeah, whatever you have. Like, he caught a deer, cut up some deer meat in there. We got some radishes, throw them in there.
Oh, didn't they call that pottage or something?
There's a word that comes from that. I don't remember. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was done all around the world. Some areas just called it all-day soup. You just basically kept it going.
Yep.
I like how this dude just wears his medals all the time. The sergeant.
Yeah.
The color sergeant. Actually, that dude is very interesting, too, because I read about him. He was the youngest color sergeant in the British Army at the time when he was here.
And that is Nigel Green, by the way.
Right. So this guy is way, way older. This actor is way, way older than the actual person. Because I think the guy that was here was like 23 or something crazy.
Yeah, either late 20s, early 30s. And like he was technically the senior officer, but like.
Well, he was the senior sergeant, the color sergeant.
Nigel Green, the actor, died less than 10 years after this movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you'll know if he played Hercules and Jason and the Argonauts, Nigel Green. He was in Master of Death. He was in Gawain and the Green Knight, the one from the 70s.
I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and it says that the Reverend and his daughter were Swedish, according to this.
Yeah, Swedish. Okay.
Yeah, and the actress is Swedish, Ulla Jacobson, as Margarita Witt. Okay, so the guy that plays King Quetzalcoatl is an actual chief. Of the Zulu. He's a Zulu prince,
and he was a descendant of the character he plays in this film. Like it was his great grandfather, I think.
Yeah. He just died last year, 2023. Nigel Green. Okay, color Sergeant Frank Bourne. Let's see here. Workstriff.
Yeah, this guy in real life was not a jerk like he is in this. He said he was a model soldier.
Yeah, I read that his daughters, when this premiered, stormed out of the theater before it got to the point where it actually showed that he was like a hero in the end. They just didn't like this kind of gruff portrayal of him at the start because it wasn't accurate.
1855.
That's understandable.
75. He was 20. He was almost 24. He was 23 when this happened. The action happened. Wow. He was the youngest NCO of his rank in the entire British Army. This earned him the nickname the Kid. And for his bravery, he received the Distinguished Conduct Medal.
The guy who played him played one of my favorite movie villains in ninja movies of all time in Pray for Death. James Booth or something like the actor's name. He was one. I love 80s ninja movies, and he played the villain in that movie. So,
I'm guessing this guy has malaria. And he's just out of it.
James Booth was Henry Hook.
Yeah. He's got malaria. Somebody needs to get him some gin and tonic stat.
He died in 2005.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, Because this is right around the time when it began to develop medications for these diseases that would kill European people. So I wonder if they all haven't really developed as effective medication. I have to look that up in the real world, though.
Yeah, the life of an officer just out hunting. Gonna kill a cheetah and
Yeah.
a gazelle.
These guys are standing there laughing. And he just
Yep. Yeah,
shows them
Blair's like, I love his cape. I could see Blair rolling around in that thing. Be like, take my cape.
Yeah.
But yeah, the like Jay points out, the quinine and tonic water actually even today is still used for people who don't respond to modern malaria treatments. It's not nearly as strong. It's kind of a last ditch effort, but yeah, it does actually have an effect.
I wonder if they built the bridge there because they had to show them building a bridge to establish how to do this sort of engineering stuff. And for the purpose of convenience of the movie, that was the best place to do it. I mean, it's stupid to build a bridge where they were, but if they were like, hey, wait a minute, it's very convenient to do it right here. You know what I mean? As opposed to finding a place where we actually build a realistic looking bridge.
Yeah, this would be a more temporary bridge too, because it's a pontoon bridge, pretty much.
Well, I mean, if the wood was sealed properly, that would have lasted for years and been easy for the local people to reproduce.
Yeah. If the ants don't eat it.
Yeah.
Because he says something, the ants are eat the wood.
Yeah, they eat like everything there.
It's like, are you not hot enough? You have to wear a cape.
Apparently, the Zulu extras were so thought that Michael Caine's hair was so funny they started calling him Lady and making fun of him. And then the Zulu princess they had on set to be a historian got wind of it and basically shut it all down. Nobody from that point on dared make fun of him.
Oh, also, I wonder if this was before the era of no animals were hurt in this movie.
Definitely before.
Yeah. They would have actually eaten these animals, right?
Yes. See, it wouldn't have just been for the film. They would have actually been consumed and used.
Well, obviously in 1879, he would have ate the hell out of them. But
exactly.
But I'm talking about in 1963, 64, when this was shot. I just say because later there's a cattle stampede scene, and like one of the cows gets its horn stuck in the fence, and the other ones are just running over stuff, and it just.
But they would have just killed them and ate them.
Exactly, and it was just it is Africa, so
right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that guy that did like the River Monsters TV show. He would catch stuff in give it to the tribal folks.
Well, it's like when people go on these hunting trips to Africa and they pay the local tribe money to hunt on their tribal grounds, and they come back with their trophy. What we don't tell you is what the animals they killed feed hundreds of people.
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And if these tribes were going to kill them anyway for hunting purposes,
I always wanted one of these little things, whatever he's got, to keep flies away.
It's just horsehair on a stick.
Yeah.
It's like an artificial
horsetail. A horsetail.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's so pompous here too.
And I want to say,
British pompous.
So this is a 2 hour and 5 minute movie. Maybe not so much because some of the credits, and you guys know, you've heard me rant about this, that as every decade has passed since the 30s, they keep putting more and more into movies that doesn't need to be there and padding them out. And this movie, it's well paced. I can only quibble over maybe 2 or 3 small scenes they could have taken out. So it would have been a 2 hour and 1 minute movie type of thing. And for its time, when they were starting to bloat movies up, like go watch, I think Midway, which was around the same time period. Or if you want a bloated war movie, that's still pretty good, like they did well to make everything in here, with the exception of like maybe 3 minutes worth of stuff, relevant to stuff in the movie, and the pacing was good enough that you didn't want to take a bathroom break or play a video game during 10 minutes of the movie or whatever,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, another long movie that I think was good and well paced was The Longest Day.
Yeah.
Which came out 2 years before this.
Yep.
So this place they're at here, what's it called?
Rorke's Drift.
Rourke's Drift. It was a
Right.
staging ground for the main body of the. So this guy sees these two riders coming up, and he's like, "That didn't look good." So he tells his men to get back to the fort.
Yeah, and the Anglo-Zulu War is going on all around them. So this isn't like the beginning of the war; it's already been happening.
Yeah, he
Right.
sees that. He's immediately concerned. He hands the binoculars to the other guy. He's like, "Hey, take a look at that." The other guy just starts going like, "Man, these things are great, aren't they?
Yeah.
Look at this modern technology."
And then
You're
smacks
useless.
him. Look at it.
So these guys, so the only people that escaped from Isla Dahara were people that on horses. So it was mainly officers.
Right.
Because nobody else could outrun the Zulu, and they got encircled anyway. But the only people that escaped, and it was only a handful, were people on horses.
And oh man, they really held on to that red color.
They
I mean,
they didn't stop using red uniforms until after the Sudan campaigns in like 1886.
Yeah, you can just
I
see
mean,
them.
some of Europe even
miles
held
away.
on to their bright colors to the start of World War One.
Yeah. So he like tells us, "You need to put your fires out and dump the soup on them." But I've been
The cook
cooking
was
the
not
soup
having
for
it.
months.
And
But now
so-
that you tell us the story about how they just kept the soup going and going and going, one can
Yeah.
understand why
Yeah.
he's a little perturbed about it.
and the redcoats, like I don't remember the king the English dynasty, but one of them, it was like their royal house colors was like red, so the redcoats came in doing that, and it stayed for centuries after, even though the family changed up or whatever.
It's true. White Bear Keith Richards is
So-
forever.
Right.
Yeah, this is one of the
okay,
boars that
yeah.
escaped the attack, the battle.
He's a like a border police guy. But he has a lot of local knowledge of the Zulus in the local area. So one of the problems that they had at the battle of Isla Dahara was getting ammunition to the front. At least that's what the official reason for the defeat was. There's some speculation of people doing archaeology reenactments and all kinds of stuff that think that they were spread out too thin, their firing line, and it wasn't enough to cover the area they needed. But also there was a problem getting ammunition, and there was supposedly you had this bands on top, and you're supposed to use a flathead screwdriver to open it up. But they figured out that that's a bunch of crap. That's not the reason, because they could just they found the screws from the tops that are bent, which means that people use rifle butts or kicked it to get the tops off of their ammo cans. So, but the thing here is at Rorke's Drift, because it was a supply depot, they had some crazy number like 60,000 rounds of ammo. So ammunition was not going to be a problem for them, like it was for the people at Isla Dahara.
Yeah, and we should point out their ammo is not like little 5.56 things. If I remember right, it was either like 41 caliber or 57 caliber.
It's 40. It's like 41 caliber. There's a line in the movie where he talks about how how they survived by the grace of God, and he's like, and a 40 by 6 caliber Lee Enfield thing, and then the sergeant says, and a bayonet with some guts behind it.
Well, what's in real life, not so much the movie because the walls are too low, but in real life, the built walls saved them because the rule of thumb is you should build your walls such that for every one man you have defending the wall, it would take 10 men to kill them. You know, so the wall makes up for that much of a difference at a minimum, right? And some walls, if the wall's like 30 feet high or whatever, one guy could defend against 50 dudes. You know, because the height and the defensive fortification, shooting you down with your arrows or your guns or throwing you spears or your rocks or whatever, it matters. And the walls that were supposed to be there, like in real life, were, if I recall correctly, high enough that a person could not stand in front of them and reach the top, and that the Zulus to get up had to climb on top of piles of the dead bodies of other Zulus. You know.
Yeah.
So you throw that in with ammunition, the rifles versus almost no effective ranged weaponry for the majority of the Zulus. And those who could have the guns they did have, they were untrained in using them, so they're very inaccurate with them. Now, in the real world, he's about to have the fortifications built. I think in the movie they depicted as him building like inner and outer walls or something like that. What actually sort of happened is there was on one side an inner wall, like the retreat wall, a second redoubt. But then what he did was put a wall across the middle of the camp. And so that because the hospital side wasn't capable of being as well defended as the rest of the camp. So they knew from the beginning they were going to fall back from the hospital behind that inner wall. So if that side of the camp fell, they weren't planning on trying to hold that side of the camp. And they were trying to buy time for some sort of, hopefully for reinforcements to come. And what happened is the Zulus basically decided the body cost wasn't worth it, and you get the respect thing at the end, you know. I mean, realistically, had the Zulus charged en masse, they had 5,000 to like 150 dudes, they would have lost 2,000-3,000 guys maybe, but they would have got the encampment, you know.
Yeah.
But when you're waging this much bigger war on the Zulu side against other British people, British armies, plus your other tribes, losing 2,000 or 3,000 guys is a fast way for your king to execute you. So it cost 2,000 of my warriors, and you took what? A little depot with 130 guys and nothing but a hospital that you burnt to the ground and destroy all the medications.
Yeah. This is funny. He's like, I have a sore on my back. It's like, and the doctor like, well, here you go. Here's the cure. Lancet.
Mm-hmm.
He like asked for some brandy. He's like, nah, you'd just be drinking that.
So he's going to enjoy the pain more than he will, or something like that.
He said, this will definitely hurt you more than it hurts me.
Oh, something like that. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes though, like that's actually a good way to help with that stuff.
If a boil is that full and infected, I've had situations with my own medical problems, it has to drain to get better. There's no small ones your body can reabsorb, but once you're big enough that you're feverish, you got to drain it and clean it for it to go away. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing they never mention in the movie is the reason they decided to stay in real life is because if they took all the wounded and put them in wagons and then had a long column and tried to get to this to safety, they couldn't go fast enough, and they would get overtaken by the Zulus because they can just run so quick.
And they'd have no chance.
Yeah, they'd have no chance out in the open. So the only option they had was to build a defensive area and defend the area.
And that's why what's his face, who the engineer, Chard, when he takes over, he's like, no, if you can't take your guys out there, he didn't say it, but he's saying they'll slaughter you if you try to fight them in the hills.
Right.
You know, not because they couldn't beat them with guns, but they had too many men and no defenders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there was a guy that was actually in charge that left. So there was an actual like captain in charge, but there was another column that was overdue, and why he went to go find him and didn't send somebody else, don't know. But he decided to go look for him. So, and he left Bromhead in temporary command while he was gone. And so this is when this goes down, and that's why he's in command
Right.
when this happens.
Yeah, the minister here wants to just get all the wounded and leave.
Here's the other thing: is at this point, what it doesn't show is because they had the native contingent. There's like 400 people here,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and
that,
native
it
and
just
that's
takes
why
too
they were
many
able
resources to move.
and that's why they were able to build the defenses so quickly, as they had 400 people.
Didn't have the native contingent, and then they had the local settlers militia who left them.
Right?
Was
Yeah,
it-
exactly. Now, how they're convinced to leave, or they just leave out of there, because there's a column of the locals that show up in the movie, and they're like, "Hey, we just saw the battle at Isfahan and we're out of here." They're
Yeah.
like, "Well, I command you to stay," and he's like, "Nah, we're out. See
Yeah.
ya. We just watched 1,500 people get slaughtered."
Yep.
Nah, son. Nah.
Yeah.
Nah.
And unironically, I guess if they had stayed, the natives had stayed, they would have had enough men to easily defend those walls. You know, because I don't think they had an ammunition or a gun problem. They just had a people problem. You know?
Yeah, I like that most of these men are Welsh and they have a choir. That's like that's a big deal in Wales. The
So that guy,
men's choirs.
the guy they showed, he's been in a lot of stuff. So he was in Time Bandits. I remember that. He was in Jesus. He was in the original Shogun. We talked about that before. Played one of the sailors, and what the hell was it?
So that drawing on the ground right there apparently was drawn by the Zulu princess historian they had, and instead of just recreating it, they just used her drawing.
The Mind of Evil. He was in a Doctor Who episode, The Mind of Evil. There you go.
Right. This depicts the bull's formation.
Horns, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have the
bull's
center,
horns.
right? The center box there. That's the head of the bull, and so that has it has your like best frontline troops, right? Then the horns have the youngest troops, and they're faster because they're younger and can run. And the idea is that the horns will then encircle the enemy. So the head will engage the enemy head on. Now we're talking like other tribes with spears and stuff. And then the horns will encircle them. And then what's called the loins is the box behind that. And that has your most seasoned veteran warriors. And you basically use them as shock troops. So once the battle's engaged, you get them surrounded. You use the loins to break the enemy if they're still not broken already. And also they're like the reserve. So if it starts to go bad, you can throw them in one of the sections. At Isfahan al-Hara, the right horn, if you're looking at it this direction, it runs around the entire mountain to come behind them, which is how they get surrounded, because they didn't understand how fast the Zulus could run, how fast they could move without horses and stuff.
Yeah, there was
this is a similar tactic that Hannibal used too.
Mm-hmm.
There was a TV miniseries from the 80s or early 90s, Shaka Zulu, which is actually South African, which was well done. Like people said it was pretty accurate and all that, which they go into details on the tactics he used and all. Though if you want a brief version of which is surprisingly accurate, the epic rap battles of history, Julius Caesar versus Shaka Zulu, also explained the bullhorn tactic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. So this guy, right? So this guy's teaching them all the tactics, and he, a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, they're just a bunch of savages." And he's like, "These savages could run 50 miles in a day and still fight a battle." And
they did just kind of defeat a British force.
Don't underestimate them.
Yep.
No.
There's a scene in Zulu Dawn where these cavalry guys crest this hill and find the entire army. It's freaking scary. There's so many people down in this gully.
Yeah, Zulu Dawn's like a
Yeah.
prequel to this.
Yeah.
And it came out in exactly 100 years after the incident.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of cool. So he kind of sets out how they're going to build their battlements and stuff.
Jay, if you're talking about Graham, McCarthy, rather, I don't think he was in Dragon Slayer.
This guy's like heartbroken. My soup.
So I'm
Poor thing.
reading about, like, looking at this real quick. So the force that's fighting them is basically the loins that was at Isla de Wahara. They were positioned to prevent the British from retreating, but they got so wiped out they didn't need it. So that's why they decided to go here.
Mm-hmm.
So they arrived at Rorkestref at 4:30
Can't
p.m.
fly.
They left their encampment from the day before at 8 a.m. and ran 32 kilometers and then assaulted the British forces for 11 and a half hours without resting.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Good
that's
grief.
crazy.
And that was something I don't think the movie did well in terms of how relentless the attacks were when it started. You know,
There's a point at night where they're like kind of exhausted and they're like, how long has it been since the last attack? So it's implying that there's repeated attacks at night over and over again, but it just doesn't show it. I guess because
Yeah.
it was nighttime, it'd be hard to film or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
For me, if there's one gripe, is the depiction of this minister guy here. It's like he's a drunk.
Yeah, I don't know enough to say if how do I put it, if the character was accurately depicted or not.
Mm.
Yeah.
To
I
my
mean, was
understanding,
he an actual person?
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The area really did. So Rorkestref was a trading center, and there was an Irish guy that founded it. But this guy's chapel was also here, and he was a missionary, and he was kind of based out of here.
Yeah.
Well, one of the other things for sure that is inaccurate is he's depicted as pretty old in this movie. He was actually in his 30s. So
Well, to be fair, back then, that's how you looked in your 30s, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. So the blazing son of Africa did not help the actor.
By the way, these are not bags of wheat they're going to use as hostages. Just letting you know that.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're filled with corn, actually.
And I think I read, and at least historically, some of them were hardtack. And if you've ever actually seen or interacted with hardtack, that stuff's damn near bulletproof anyway. So,
Yeah.
it
Well,
makes some
if they're
good
a hardtack,
fortifications.
then they'd be in boxes, I think.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
you
do-
had to soak that stuff to eat it.
You do see them opening cans of ammo, and they have like tinfoil, like foil on top that they got to go through. It's pretty thin stuff, but I was surprised. But I guess, you need that to keep all the moisture out.
Right.
This is a good part, though.
Oh.
Come on, get to the battle.
What do you think the movie was trying to say about the missionary characters?
They were more harmful than they were helpful. That's what it seemed that way to me.
I kind of like to know what they were like in real life, or what the guy was like in real life. Yeah, and they start digging holes in the wall for gun ports. See, I think I would have just left it and just used the windows. I mean, it's a higher vantage point, you'd think.
No, yeah, but it's also a wider area for potential projectiles to come through.
I think in real life they did dig loopholes in the wall, but the building was different than it is here.
Yeah.
Maybe there weren't as many windows or something, or the windows were too high.
Have you guys ever seen the movie Top Secret with Val Kilmer?
Mm-mm.
No?
The one where they use the laser to fill that whole house with popcorn.
No, that was real.
No,
Genius.
that's
okay.
yeah. No, this is the kind of Naked Gun slapstick kind of thing. The movie that he was in.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, please do. There's this part where they're
It's
they're trying to bust out the windows so they can, fight the enemy, and they end up playing tic-tac-toe. When I saw that, it reminded me of that.
Yeah. This guy's eyebrows don't look real. Look like they put some false eyebrows on him.
They just look British. They're British eyebrows.
That's it. That's what it is.
I mean, if your eyebrows don't look like they could be small mustaches, are you really British?
Right.
Yeah. No, sir.
You trim your eyebrows? How dare you, sir?
How dare you? Court-martialed.
You should be flogged.
I don't know what the native contingent deaths were, but according to this, there were 17 British deaths. That's unbelievable. That only 17 people died.
Well, that was the fortifications.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 of the 17 were due to being shot by the
snipers.
The snipers, right?
Yeah, like I said, those guys weren't very accurate. They just had enough guys in the right spots,
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I like this guy here. I like this guy. Later on, he does some fighting with his. He uses a bayonet and his crutch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I think the actors was like at one point just abandoned the idea that his leg didn't even hurt and started walking around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna break my leg for real, you blokes. It's like,
thanks for dropping by. I love it. I appreciate all the Civ tips.
Oh, later, love it.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, love it.
The old days before building code, when you could just chip a hole in your outer wall with your bayonet.
It's so crazy to think that you could just do that to buildings, like, just dug a big hole in the wall. Like, what? No, it's fine.
So in real life, the missionary left not because he was like a drunken piece of crap, but because he was where his family lived in an isolated farmhouse about 19 miles away, and he wanted to go make sure that they were okay. So he left with them, a servant and a patient from the hospital, Lieutenant Thomas Purvis. So I guess they sent that guy to like help him out or something.
Oh,
Yeah, we just like to sneak a feature in every now and then. We don't want to distract you. Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
I'm doing this picture, by the way, in case you were wondering.
Oh, let me bring it back up. Okay. All right.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Very nice.
It reminds me of some like maybe like a Howard Pyle kind of picture, or whatchamacallit, NC Wyeth. I don't know if
For
you
a
guys know
second,
who
I
those
was
are.
like, is he fighting Conan?
Well, this is a very strong
Yeah.
guy
I don't.
here.
I don't think Michael Caine could have defeated that guy in real
Yeah,
life.
had the Zulus had Conan on their side, they could have won.
Michael Caine defeated them with the power of his golden curls.
If they had a
Conan would have
tiger
considered-
on their
Conan
side.
would have considered the British people pigs. He would have hated them.
And he had the high ground.
Yeah. I bet all the actors playing the British soldiers' teeth are in far better shape than the soldiers' real teeth were. Look at the smiles
fact.
on each other.
Yeah,
There's like
probably.
white, like no teeth missing, white smiles. Like, you know, dentistry back then was drink this half a bottle of booze and we'll knock the tooth out. It's like,
Yep.
And brush your teeth with these sticks.
yeah.
If you want to. Otherwise, just smoke like a pipe for 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Just eat the forever stew at temperature. The heat will kill anything on your bacteria.
If your
Right.
breath gets bad, you just swish some whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Now these are some local boars that come through. In reality, they didn't leave the British here. They couldn't get to them. They were cut off. And it was either, flee or die. So they had to leave.
Well, from what I was reading is there was a contingent that showed up that escaped from Islam Nahara, and they offered to keep a lookout on one of the hills. And so they went up there to do the lookout. Now, the thing is they had carbine ammunition, which the storehouse did not have. So they engaged the vanguard of the Zulus, shot at them for a while, but started running out of ammo. And so then they were like, F this, we're out. And so they were going to go warn another town about the Zulu coming, because their idea was that they were just going to overrun Rorke's pretty quick and then go to the next place.
Right.
Let's see what it said here. It's called Help Mekar. HELPMEKARAR, which was a town. So plus, I don't think they had really slept since the day before, so they were all tired and stuff.
You can only run your horses for so long, and
Right.
when the people who are chasing you can run 50
Right.
miles a day and,
then-
still fight, you don't really want to lay down and take a nap.
Upon witnessing the
Right.
withdrawal
No.
of Henderson's NNH troops, Captain Stevenson's NNC company abandoned the cattle corral and fled, greatly reducing the strength of the defending garrison. Outraged at Stevenson, some of his colonial NCOs had also fled from the barricades. A few British soldiers fire after them, killing Corporal William Anderson. Huh. The only thing is that a lot of those native guys only had spears. They didn't have any guns. So I can see why they wouldn't want to hang around.
Yeah.
In the movie, they have the priest guy give a sermon that convinces them to leave, talking about don't kill your fellow man and stuff.
Yeah, and he keeps that up and like through like the first conflict, and then they're just like, all right, get out of here.
Oh, and this is another scene. So they're supposed to be building like defenses, and everyone's just kind of standing around. And then the sergeant's like, nobody told you to stop working. And then this is when he comes out and he convinces the native troops to leave. He's like, don't kill your brother. And then a couple of them take off, and then he keeps going. And yeah.
They're probably more like, wait a minute, there are Zulus coming here?
Yeah.
Yup.
Oh, what? Nobody told us we were fighting Zulus. We're out of here.
See, I subscribe to the Captain Malcolm
Or-
Reynolds School
or-
of Self-Defense. If
or
anybody
they
tries
found
to
out-
kill you, you kill them right back.
Yeah.
Well, I think the
Or they
minister's
found
point,
out that there was a tiger loose from
Ah.
the zoo.
Yes.
And it's attacking officers.
Yeah. I think the minister was driven crazy by the fact that he realized that he didn't think they could win against the overwhelming numbers, right? And in a sense, he was right that had the Zulus literally just charged it, you know, and
Mhm.
said, but like I said before, the king would have been like, wait a minute. So you lost 2,000 of our guys to take out 150 dudes, and you burned the hospital and all the medication to the ground. You killed the doctor, the only valuable things there, basically, right? Oh, and what about the ammunition? Well, they used all that up shooting us. What about the guns? Well, they broke them fighting us hand to hand. So you conquered a territory of dirt about 150 yards across, and well, that'll make a nice mass grave for all the dead bodies, plus you being buried there. You know,
Right.
yeah.
So those are pretty sturdy wagons to be able to use
Well,
them
I
as a
mean,
wall.
wagons had to be like for how much they were used to travel across long distances. Like, they had to be pretty sturdy.
Look at that; those are well constructed wagons. Just looking at them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are real wagons. They probably just got them from somewhere.
Yeah.
They didn't make those for the movie.
Probably paid movie prices from like, hey, farmer, we'll give you like $8,000 per wagon, thinking whatever. And the farmer's like, that's enough income for my family for 10 generations. I'll you can have all my wagons. You know?
They're manhandling and mansplaining. Oh no.
But when you got mutton chops like that, you can get away with a lot.
Yeah.
So when I rewatched this Monday, right? And no, Sunday and Monday. So I did the first hour on Sunday and the rest on Monday. And it reminded me, because I was watching an anime called Jujutsu Kaisen recently, and one of the episodes, one of the main characters, they're trying to save a woman. He picks her up by her belt like she's a handbag and runs away with her. Like that's what that scene reminded me of. And he carries her around like that for like 10 minutes in the episode, just like she's just like a luggage,
I like this part. And like, what's that noise? It sounds like a train.
Wait, it's a bird. It's a plane. It's a train.
It's Zulu man.
I wonder if the hospital, they showed the church already, right?
I think that's it in the background right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Anytime I see rifles stacked up like that, which I know is an actual thing, I can't help but thinking like the one guy that like gets over there first, he's grabbing his gun, he's like waiting for all the slow members of his group to come over so the guns don't fall on the ground and they get all
Right.
whiny and
Yeah,
cranky.
Right.
Don't be that guy.
Why'd you drop our
Right,
guns to the
don't
ground?
be that
Why are
guy.
you so slow?
Hmm.
Oh yeah, this is the ammo can you were referencing earlier. The foil across.
Yeah, right here with the foil. Yep. And Matt, I was just reading in this description. It says they were soon engaged in hand-to-hand combat. The British wall was too high for the Zulus to scale, so they resorted crouching under the wall, trying to get hold of the defenders' Martini Henry rifles, slashing at British soldiers with the assegais, or firing their weapons through the wall. At places, they clambered over each other's body to drive the British off the wall, but were driven back.
Yep.
So, yep, you're absolutely right. The walls were too high for them.
Yep.
And
That's what saved them, really.
And if I'm going to critique the movie, I would have liked the walls to be a little more realistic, because I love this movie, but my brain, when I see certain things, I'm like, okay, have to change that, fine, historical, whatever. But the walls, like I'm saying, like how with that little number of guys, it was tough for me to say they defended themselves well against. Like when I first saw this when I was a kid, I was like, oh, those walls are pretty cool. But then when I got older and like so I watched it first time when I was a kid. Then I think I saw it again in my 20s after I learned more about like this type of warfare, and I was like, those walls were too small, And then I read about the battle, and it turned out the walls were actually higher,
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, you could do without actually stacking them higher. You just make the walls say 4 or 5 high, then dig trenches out in front of them that are 4 feet deep.
It's like, be a good gentleman, sir. Be quiet now.
Yeah, none of that
Quiet
mercy
now.
stuff.
I say so. I say.
So it sounds like the head guy here has seen battle before. That's what it sounds like.
Right, and that comes back around later if I remember right.
Well, there were. Okay, so like I said, the Anglo Zulu or British Zulu Anglo Zulu wars have been ongoing for a while. Plus, there's conflict over in India all the time, in the Middle East and all that, right? So there's places for the British to be at war all over the place. You know what I mean? The war against the pirates,
Right.
The overland slave traffic, from like most people don't know this, but the majority of slaves, the majority of non-African slaves in Africa, in that part of Africa, were Indians from India who were sold by the Arabs to the sub-Saharan Africans, right? So that's why there's a large Indian population in South Africa area,
Mm.
And so the British were again, they had basically 1830, I guess, outlawed slavery worldwide, and been since then working on ending slavery wherever they could, Plus, the British were also active. They were the premier anti-piracy navy in the world as well, and the U.S. took that role over after World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And we still do that to this day. Which if anyone asks you why is the U.S. need such a big navy, it's because we are basically the world's anti-piracy police.
Right. That guy that
can't
drops
get
his
bayonet.
Yeah. You slobberly soldier. But it says something like that. Like,
Don't worry, it happens to lots of guys.
yeah. And there they are.
This is an epic shot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and the music in this too is really great. I like how they show them using their shields as like signals to other hilltops. Pretty cool.
They don't say it, but I know what they're thinking, and this is a family channel, so I can't say it.
Yes.
Say it. You know what you want to say it.
No, I don't want to get scolded.
What's the matter? You apes want to live forever? That's what they're saying.
Listen up, whichever one of you live, get to see the dentist.
What?
The dentist is gonna come and take out all the teeth from your head.
All right, so I was mistaken. They had 20,000 rounds in reserve, and at the end of the fight, like towards the end, they only had 900 remaining. So they shot a lot of ammo.
Yeah, that's all.
And Jay points out that this shows that Zulu had formal military doctrine, coherent tactics, comms, and logistics.
Well, that was what Shaka. I should rewatch Shaka Zulu. Anyway, if you want, that was one of Shaka's revolutions. Was I don't want to say modernizing, that's the wrong word, but revolutionizing for African tribal warfare, the tactics. Compared to other tribes,
Mm-hmm.
Because it was warfare of scale, like African tribal warfare was small groups of tribes, where he made a kingdom and needed to adjust tactics that had large groups of troops, so to speak.
Yeah, no more just hollering to your buddy that's just a few feet away.
Yeah.
You got to signal from a mountaintop.
Yeah. It's like what was the movie? We just watched it 2 weeks ago, Jacob, on your channel. The Mohican
Drums Along the Mohawk.
Yeah, it's a very similar type of thing where a small group of settlers and some troopers were trying to defend that one fortified town against a large group of people with more primitive weaponry.
Yeah. And these short spears they're using, Shaka Zulu had designed that.
Well, Jay, in regards to the Roman thing, the Germans did have the problem. The problem the Germans ran into wasn't just the tactics. The Romans also had numbers to equal or superior to them, so that they couldn't take advantage of massively superior numbers away the Zulus could have in this particular situation and just overran the place at the cost of thousands.
Yeah.
So the Romans, if they might have been outnumbered, say 5-1 at most, and that's only if the Romans were unprepared. They had large armies going into Germania.
Yeah.
Add to the fact that a lot of the German tribes said, "Hey, wait a minute! You'll build roads for us. You'll stop the other German tribes from attacking us. Your Roman gods don't require a human sacrifice the way the other ones do. Hey, so where do we sign up? It's like the Romans conquered at least half as much, 1/3 as much territory that way in terms of all the territories they conquered. Like just by saying to the people, we offer you a better life.
Yeah, this guy, they're wondering, why aren't they attacking? They're just standing there kind of taunting at him. So they're not attacking.
If you can get a shot where they show the range between the Zulus and the wall before they charge, it's tough to catch it, but there's 1 or 2 shots. So, okay, right there. The range those rifles are supposed to have, those Zulus are well within range of those rifles. That's maybe 150 yards away at most. Those rifles have a several 100-yard range, and it could have been cutting them down easily from further out. depending on their accuracy, of course.
Yeah. But you wouldn't be able to have a shot like this. You'd see little specks off in the distance.
Well, they'd be twice as far away, but they'd still be within range of being shot, center of mass, you know?
Right. But what I'm saying is they're just doing it for cinematic.
Oh, for the film shot. Yeah,
for the camera,
shot, yeah. It's like what the other movie we watched where they charged across this tremendous open ground? The Light Horseman.
Yeah, Light Horseman.
Yeah. Also in Lawrence of Arabia too, they had a tremendous open ground charge. Where they had and
that
they actually
was so cool.
Yeah, and they showed the guns at range taking them out, but there were just so many that they got to the wall. You know.
Right. I like this one. Why aren't they attacking? Oh, they're counting your guns. He's like, I hope they'll be back.
Well, but see, they have rifles, not muskets at this point. So even with a volley is still going to be an aim shot. It's not going to be a throw the mass into the mass and see what you hit, because like muskets were notoriously inaccurate after a certain range. When they had the firing lines, eventually they weren't just shooting blindly into the mass. The soldiers should have been aiming at someone.
Yeah.
There's a funny cartoon. It's I don't know if it was guns or arrows, but like they order a guy to open fire, and all the guys shoot one dude out of like 300 dudes, and one guy goes, "Who would have thought they all would aim the same guy?"
It's like, time to go, sir.
Don't worry, we'll send your daughter with you because no drinking and driving.
No.
One other thing of note is Swedish power metal band Sabaton wrote the song Works Drift about the battle in their 2016 album The Last Stand.
Sabaton does all military and historical songs. If anyone's never, and not only their songs about the battles in history, they usually produce a correlated sort of mini documentary with every significant one you can find on their channel as well. You know, yeah. Like people call them like a power metal band, or they're almost really a historical metal band. Except for that one song he did about Lord of the Rings.
It's like, should we attack these people? The guy's like, nope, stay there.
Well, once they recognize who it is, it's like, don't touch them.
Yeah, the commanders would have known who.
Don't touch the holy man.
Was. Yeah.
Yeah, you try, you can end up like that dude they ran over.
Right. Holy man, don't touch.
Oops. Just realized I was on mute again. Sorry. I've been talking all this time and nobody said anything.
Oh, sorry.
Man. So horrible at this.
Oh, you're all right. There again.
Yes, Jay.
You know, I like to, and I have no idea if any of these people who played these roles have any rifle experience, but if they do, I appreciate the fact that they show them kind of not exactly knowing how to do it. And it's really only with high ground and volume of fire that they really strike any hits.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how they're using the riverbed for cover, too.
Yeah, they don't ever move unintentionally. Everything's very purposeful. I mean, even like when they first moved in, what we saw is like they'll move in and they'll duck down, then a different group will move in and duck down, and they'll kind of alternate so that nobody can really be paying attention to one, like of the entirety of the group all at once.
And you can't really see how many you're dealing with either.
Mm-hmm.
You know, another funny thing is, this is just after, like maybe 30, 40 years after the time period where soldiers would have stopped wearing sort of like armor against like swords and stuff like that. So imagine if they still had like, even like a gambisan or something like that these soldiers were wearing, how less effective these spears would have been,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, right. If they had like the cavalry breastplate things.
Not even the heavy, like the gambisan is that like 1 inch thick padded linen armor that would have prevented a lot of penetration.
Or, right.
Or even like a leather, like the leather jerkin that they gave peasants to give to peasants, when in peasant conscripts. Those alone would have cut down a lot of this. Well, again, it's a contrast in warfare styles as warfare evolves. Like how. So they have a superiority of weapon in terms of the gun. But because they've adopted gun tactics, they've given up defenses against the more primitive weapons, the spears, the short spear, basically,
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, even today, a bulletproof vest is not, or a ballistic vest is not necessarily stab proof. That's why they have stab vests.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Though they are working on anime style power armor that they have, which they're hoping to deploy within 20 years, which will make like low grade stabbing and shooting irrelevant.
I'm not going to lie, that does sound pretty cool.
It's going full circle. We gave up full armor like 200 years ago, and now we're getting back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Although if you watch
it probably won't be as cool as Halo Spartan armor, but it'll still be cool.
Like if you ever watched Black Hawk Down, for example, the amount of armor that the soldiers wore, and they're really only being killed by like neck shots or like angles into their leg that got, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, or like explosives that the armor doesn't stop,
The Weberly. I guess that's a Weberly, isn't it?
It probably is, but I mean, he's got that out for the range up to the top of the hillside.
Yeah, right.
So,
come on, man.
Like, you're not hitting anything.
Now, this is a bit of a misdepiction. Yes, they would have had their officer sidearm, but they would have been using rifle as well. Considering it, especially not so much the commanding lieutenant, the one who's the engineer. He might have, but the field lieutenant would have been highly trained in a rifle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure, when did British officers stop carrying swords? That would have to, because I know in Napoleonic Wars they all did. But that's obviously.
I think it was World War One.
World War One, yeah.
When they stopped doing it. Yeah.
So that means
I think in the beginning they had swords, and then slowly, just over the course of the war, they moved away.
If you remember, Brumfield did have a sword, but when he got into the flying defensive formation that he had to take over they gave him a gun with a bayonet. He handed his sword off.
Yeah, I know. And the American soldiers, all officers, all had swords through the Civil War. Marine officers had swords, I think, up until the early 2000s. They all trained in them still, but they carried them you know. And if you watch the Sharp movies, the British officers with their swords, as well as the mounted troops, the dragoons with the swords, were highly effective once you got within range of the guys with muskets, because they could fire 2 shots and then they were done.
Right.
You know? But then by the time the horses got in there, you know, it was a rifleman like this, the chosen men, Sharp's company, that could actually take down large groups of people with swords because they could fire repeatedly, you know.
Don't worry, Naughty. We won't tell anybody.
This
We
guy's like,
appreciate it.
Get down from there.
We'll keep
Stay
your secret.
safe.
So just a quick look
I like
online.
this
I'm
guy's
seeing
like,
like up to like 1900s. There were infantry officer swords used in South Africa.
Nadia, you'll be safe so long
So yeah,
as you
they're
don't attempt to
getting
withstand the
shots
Zulu
in pretty
charge.
quick. They're getting shots here on people here and there.
Yeah.
I mean, in real life, only like what 15 or 17 people died. I think more died in the depiction of people being killed, though, in the movie.
I think so too.
Yeah. Fire. So this struck me as I was watching this. You waste a lot of time giving orders to, you know, fire in unison, you know.
Mhm.
I just wonder when that stopped
We saw one guy laugh at
in
it
combat.
World War
whenever
One.
he was like, "Okay, fire independently" or whatever, and the guy's like,
No,
"Yeah,
I just mean, I mean, when you have people coming up on you that quick, you don't really have time to follow order to, you know, fire
I'd
in
have to say
unison. And then you waste a lot
probably-
more time by saying, you know, fire at will. And
Well, no, the
I'd
reason
have
you're
to say
firing
end of
oh, sorry.
Civil War, beginning of World War One, around that time.
the reason they fire in waves like that is to give time for the other guys to reload.
Yeah.
It's not so much to gain superiority over fire
Right.
individually. It's so you always have got sustained fire because some guys have time to reload. Remember, they're firing rifles with bullets, but they're not like they can't put like a four bullets in or whatever and
right,
fire
they're
several
single
times.
shot rifles.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, there's a single shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Zulu too, they get him to stick the bayonet in their shield, and then they can just move their gun aside and stab him.
Well, that would have been the contrast I said between the fighting styles. Like the British had moved away from what would have helped them in hand-to-hand combat. I mean, just imagine if every one of these
Right.
British soldiers had on a leather halberd, how you pronounce that?
Halberd?
Not even
Yeah.
heavy, not even heavy, just a hardened leather that could withstand
Halberd.
some of those jabs, right? How much different it would have been if they all carried around a short sword, you know? How much difference it would have been in this thing, you know?
Yeah.
All right, Gadfly. Thanks for jumping by, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Take care.
Yeah, man. Thanks for hanging out. Later. This guy's. They need my help.
Well, he's really upset that he's going to have to sew that hole up in his jacket.
Mm-hmm.
These ineffective British, they can't do anything without me. So he sells being leg wounded right up until this point. Then Yak is probably like, screw it. It's like, you know, like watch, he's gonna wrap the bandage up
It's
and
the
then walk
adrenaline.
fine. Yeah, it's the adrenaline. It healed the bone instantly.
Yeah.
Now that's a little. Maybe it happened that way. I don't know, but you would almost never have an officer left that alone in the middle of battle. There'd always be like a dedicated squad or
Mhm.
something. You know.
Yeah. I like this. He shows the crutch in the guy's face, and he's like, "Oh, that stinks! That stinks!"
Mhm.
Hits him with his wooden warhammer, then stabs him in the gut. Don't mess with the Dutch.
That's right. Don't do it.
The Zulu was like, "Oh no, there's a Dutchman among them! Flee!"
Ah, run away.
Like the Zulu just, if only they'd had that Dutch guy, we would have won.
Right.
Only
That's
had
what the
two good
problem
feet.
was.
They tell the king, "We're lucky the Dutchman only had 1 foot. If he had two, even you would be dead now."
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, I'm not sure where he got injured. The somewhere in the neck, but it's not bad.
Did you see the wooden shoes on that guy? Whoa.
Yeah, the guy who played Chard was in a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
He was in Knights of the Round Table. He played Modred or Gawain. One of the better guys, I guess you would say.
This
Wait,
guy's just sitting here playing cups with himself.
Just how like disheartening and overwhelming would it be to kind of be in that situation? You knock down one wave and there's another wave, and then you knock down that wave and there's another wave, and it's just like it seems like it's never-ending assault.
Yeah.
He was also in one of the Navarone movies. What were the two Navarone movies, Jacob? Guns of Navarone and
Guns of Navarone, and I can't remember the name of the other one.
Yeah, he was in one of the the guy who played Charge in one of the Navarone movies.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's been in a lot of cool stuff. Like you'd be surprised how many actors like you see their face. Like, I know I've seen him someplace before, and you look at the list of everything, and you're like, oh my god, they were in all that stuff. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This guy's still complaining about his soup. I can't believe they made me dump my soup.
This is where it gets it in the back.
Yeah. Ooh, cut it in mid-air.
Good. Finally shut up then.
Now who's gonna make the next pot of soup?
He's gonna be the ghost that haunts the soup forever.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see that? Watch this. Where you can tell was something in between him and the spear, because it sticks.
Yeah.
Probably a wood plank or something.
Zulu was like, "You this is for not making us that soup."
How dare you waste that soup?
Right?
How dare you?
How dare you?
The king is like, "Wait a minute! You burnt the hospital, salted the ground, and killed the guy who made the soup. Off with your head." All I wanted was a hospital, medicine, and a guy who could make us soup. All I wanted. Instead, you.
Yeah, They're handing out like handfuls of rounds that they'll put in this pouch thing there. Says, I was wondering, how do they hold those? Oh yeah, the pouch.
Oh, and the reason I remember the Navarone films because I like one of them a lot and hate the other one a lot. Like there's no in between. You know?
Yeah, there was one with Gregory Peck, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And then was
And the
Harrison
other one
Ford
with
the other
the
one?
Ford.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember hating one and liking one, and you know.
Really cool.
I keep getting distracted by the size of the cartridge that was going into those guns. It's like elephant gun ammo that they're using on people. That'd be devastating.
Mm-hmm. Well, you use what you got.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you watch Kentucky Ballistics, Beard?
She be kicking. Yes, I do.
Yeah. Yeah, some of those, he's real big on the big bore guns. It's crazy how big some of those are. The 4 bore.
Yeah. I mean, they don't really focus in on it, but you get a couple glimpses of the size of those cartridges in these guys' hands when they're reloading. They are not small.
No. This is a really cool scene, tactics-wise. And they just keep doing that over and over again.
Right, the back rank fires, and then, well, the first rank fired, then the back rank moved up and fired, and they just keep moving up, moving forward, while worm rank reloads.
Yeah.
Constant fire and gaining ground.
You could do this in the reverse too if you wanted.
Yeah.
Like retreating?
Yeah. Yep.
It's called counter advancing. We don't like the term retreat around here.
Correct. You do not retreat.
Yes.
You move back to a better
Tactical.
position. Yeah.
One thing I
Strategically
noticed,
reposition.
Tactical withdrawal.
one thing I
Tactical
noticed
withdrawal.
in the movie is they don't have enough Martini Henrys for everybody. So they use it looked like a Car 98 or something, some kind of bolt action rifle. Hoping you wouldn't notice.
Oh.
Yeah. When you, and in the scene
Yeah.
with the, where they fall back to the redoubt and they get the 3 ranks of fire, there's guys in the front kneeling down that, yeah, they don't have Martini Henrys.
How do you like your martini? Ha ha.
That's it. Okay. You know, Shieldwall, you made me think because I usually look
Yeah,
up guns.
the
that
look
were
on
used in
his
movies
face
before.
here. It's like the horror of battle.
Did that start getting that 1,000-yard stare?
Yeah. I do not envy the guys that have to wear black.
Ugh. I'm sure they were probably dying, or they were probably used to it. There's no in between.
I mean, if it is hot enough and you've got layers underneath that, then it would still actually keep you cooler because your body temperature would be cooler than what's outside of whatever color you're wearing. The color at some point kind of becomes meaningless.
Right.
But yeah, still, it would be miserable.
Oh, I've had to wear black when I lived in Alabama. I used to do help some fundraisers where I was a waitress and stuff, or waitress. I helped as a server for different fundraisers and wearing all black because it was required if you were a server in 100-degree weather with humidity is not a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, the guys in black would have been useful in a military scenario because since they're British, they don't sweat; they just explode when it hits certain pressure. They just put walking bombs. You know? Like,
Yeah.
So Smith is
they
ready
drink
to go.
tea though, and tea.
Yeah.
Tea lowers your body temperature. That's what it is. That's why they drink so
Hot
much tea.
tea lowers your body temperature.
I've had an old Chinese
Right,
woman tell me
right.
that, like, in the summer you drink hot green tea and it makes you feel cooler.
That's because the tea is so freaking hot that when you go outside, the temperature is cooler than the temperature of the tea.
It equalizes your body temperature. He's like, hey, go get me some of that brandy in the medicine cabinet. It's like, oh, yeah, right. Yeah, this guy's all worried about the baby cow. And then he finds the baby cow. Oh, poor baby cow.
Yeah.
Little baby cow. Otherwise known as veal.
Yes. You better make that pot of soup real quick right now.
Put the baby cow in the pot.
Veal soup. Yes. Yeah, that's the one problem with this building is the thatched roof.
Yep.
I'm not sure a thatch roof would have held up to them climbing onto it that way, but I'll go with it for the sake of the movie.
Yeah, I did have that thought before.
Thatch roofs are pretty thick.
No, I'm saying it would hold their weight, but the way they're pulling on it, I'm not sure. Like it would have, like the way you thatch it, you push up into it, if I remember correctly, right? So they're pulling down on it, right? So their angle would have like it's like grabbing. It would have. They would just falling back as the thatch comes out as they grab it. You know.
Yeah. I see what you mean. It's like, punch you out.
The early version of the WWE.
I just want to catch this part.
Mm-hmm.
This part right here I thought was really cool. It's like, don't want to get a knock from YouTube. Just give me a second here. This right here. This is pretty cool. He does a flip and pushes him off. Ah.
Oh, the combat roll.
Needs a Wilhelm scream.
Yes.
He did have one.
Yeah, I thought he did have it.
have one. Yeah.
Okay, I must have missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all won't be able to hear it, but yeah. Oh.
Yeah, even thatched troops being thick and sturdy, that many dudes up there, I can't help but think they'd be sagging at that point, to some degree.
Yeah.
even with rafters up underneath it.
This is my second favorite scenes in the fight in the hospital. You know.
Well, this is where the majority of the people
Yeah.
that won the Victoria Cross actually won it for
Yeah.
fighting their way through this whole thing and saving a bunch of the patients and whatever.
Yeah.
Literally
And
just
they did it
chipping an
without
escape hatch.
right, and they did it all without any officer to direct them, which I guess is a big deal for the
Yeah.
British Army.
Looking good.
Yeah, that's great.
Mhm.
Oh.
Now you need the pot of stew in there somewhere. You know.
It's spilled
What
over
they're really-
somewhere.
What they're really
Tipped over
fighting.
in the background.
What they're really fighting over. You know. It wasn't the land. It wasn't the people. It's a pot of
Just
stew.
the stew.
Don't you dare spill that soup.
I mean, that's why the Great Office War started in Scranton, Pennsylvania, when the big bowl pot of chili was spilled.
Yeah.
Sorry, random office reference. I don't know why my brain went there, but it did.
So, there's a movie that's one of the best
That's what she said.
werewolf. It's one of the best werewolf movies of all time. It's called Dog Soldiers. And when the werewolves get into the house and start attacking them, and the soldiers are
That's good.
digging through the walls to fight the werewolves, that kind of that's as great a scene as that scene is to me. You know, like the sort of like logical use of the walls and guerrilla fighting in the walls and all that. You know.
The old days of making movies when you just told your stars, hey, we're going to light the building on fire. Try to get out in time. And also act while you're doing it.
He's not acting. He's really trying to smash
got
the way out through
hazard
the
pay,
people. Like,
you know?
get out of my way, you simpletons! I don't want to live. That building's burning, you morons! Get out.
George Costanza knocking over the old grandma to get out of the apartment.
Yeah.
Some actors were lost in the making of this movie due to smoke inhalation.
I can't help it. Every time I see like a roof burning, there's a song called "The Roof Is on Fire." You know, the roof. The
Oh, yeah.
roof. Like every time,
Yes,
I
the
start
roof.
chanting it.
The roof is on
You know.
I mean, actually go specifically to that song as said by Mr. Furious from Mystery Men.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, on the way out, he's like, finally got that brandy.
Yeah. Oh, I could go into just quoting Mystery
To
Men.
make our move.
I can't recall. Was this
Don't-
an intentional
don't-
tactic, or did they accidentally get out?
I thought this was
I
a
think
tactic.
they
In the movie, I
accidentally
thought it was a
got out.
tactic. Because if you notice where they pulled
Yeah.
back from, they were behind the line, a wall where these cows would run out in front of.
Okay, yeah, I thought so.
I think it was an accident. The guy with the calf, he went to put the chain on the thing and it didn't latch. So when they started burning the
Right.
building with the cows next to it, they panicked and pushed out.
But they're conveniently behind a wall, and the cows are conveniently on the other side. That's why I thought it was purposeful.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a good tactic, but you're also losing your main source of like meat and things like that too. So it's risky, regardless. If it was, I mean, but if it wasn't, then it was just kind of lucky because it gave them a break in the fighting.
How did the battle go, my general? Well, we were winning, but then this army of cows came in and routed us. Say it again. Well, we had them dead. Only had 150 of them left. We still have 5,000 in reserve. But this army of cows came out of the cow pen, and we could not defeat them. What?
You should have seen.
Were they
their
water
horns.
buffalo? No, sir. They were just cows.
Jay has a point. If you're dead, you don't care much about losing the stakes.
Exactly.
It's like you see Robot
Yeah.
Chicken.
Automatically,
Oh, no.
like raises from the dead. The stakes.
Do you guys ever see Robot Chicken?
But they weren't really dead. They were just mostly dead.
Mostly
Yeah.
dead.
Right.
Where they
Nothing
tell
a
the
Wagyu
Emperor,
can't fix. Sorry, Matt. What was that?
I was gonna say, yeah, you guys know what Robot Chicken is, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So there's an episode where they tell the Emperor the
Yeah.
Death Star has been blown up, the first Death Star. He goes, "What? You mean an aluminum raccoon blew up the Death Star? What?"
So many things about Robot Chicken that was
Yeah.
both funny and traumatizing.
Yeah. I can imagine like a Robot Chicken of this with like, "What? Your army lost to a bunch of cows? What?" It's like, the distorted battlefield story, you know.
That's a good leader, letting the men sleep when they can.
Look at Jay. I'm sure those were trained cows, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, but Jacob, to your point, it's at some point you just it's futile to try to keep people awake. They've been fighting for so long.
Yeah.
You're either gonna let them pass out when they do, and hopefully you wake them when you need them, or they're just gonna pass out and die in their sleep because they won't wake up in time.
Mm-hmm.
They were black tactical Angus cows.
They were cow
Terrifying.
mandos. Cow mandos.
Yes. Yes.
They were cavalry.
Oh, jeez.
Oh god.
Oh, that shot.
That one.
Oh no, on the hillside with the Zulu and the sun behind them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jay.
I like this part. There's
Sir, the cow's gone yet? Yeah. It's like,
What are you gonna say, Jacob?
I like this I like this part where they start chanting and then they start singing back
Yeah.
to him.
it's funny.
Howdy,
That scene.
Miss Barton Muses.
So I saw it, like I said, I saw it when I was a kid and in my
Hey, Teresa.
20s, and then didn't see the movie again until like probably a year or two ago. And the reason I watched it a year or two ago or 3 ago was YouTube randomly put this scene where they started singing together, up on YouTube. Like, oh, that was Zulu, and I went and rewatched it a couple years ago. It was a random play of that scene that made me go rewatch it a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Stakes fight for.
Yes.
Oh my god, the
High
Zulus.
dollar
The
stakes.
Zulu guy's loincloth almost looks like a cow skin.
Oh, here.
The molten pattern down there.
Probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's fighting with he's a cow zerker. He's fighting with the spirit of the cow.
We've unleashed a monster with the cow puns.
Yes.
What do you say about those cows? They're not cowards. Uh, and broke beard.
The beard has died. Rip.
Oh, here they come. Fire.
I can hear somebody laughing.
I'm reading JJ. Right when I said
Are you
coward,
okay,
Jay
Peter?
goes, "Truly, you are cowards."
Yeah, this now they have 3 lines of fire.
Yeah. Plus, since they're withdrawn back to the inner
here we go.
redoubts, they have more concentrated lines of fire they could do that they could be charged, like the enemies to come at them with.
Man.
That kind of battle tactic was unheard of.
Just confused looks on everyone's face. Like, what's going on?
It was total cownage. It was an utter catastrophe for the Zulu.
Wow. I guess the beef they had ended.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, this is just evolved into cow puns.
the British were afraid that they might run out of bullets. Oh,
Oh,
Well, luckily they kept a good count.
sorry.
Jacob's not going to let any of us back.
No. Sorry.
No, that was good.
No,
everybody had
that's
kind of
okay.
moved on. You caught us
That was
off
a good
guard.
one.
Yeah.
So
I am listening.
Go back a little bit to where they're at
Battle of cow
the
pins.
cow pins. Yeah, it's a real battle. Go back a little bit to where they're at the redoubt, their last fallback position, and they use the 3 ranks of fire.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's. Here it is. Let's see here.
You must enter for this. Jacob.
I want to say I'm looking for it. That's not it. It's a little hard to see here, but one of these guys in this front row, it's not a Martini Henry that they have.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I looked it up on the International Movie Firearms Database. The ones they were using was the Lee Enfield Mark I CLLE and 303. Partly because they didn't have enough Martini Henrys, but also partly because they were running out of the 4.55 blanks that they were using in the Martini Henrys.
Right.
But they try to keep them not front and center. Although being as accurate they are, if Jay's
there's
correct, one. The Webley shouldn't have been here.
This guy right here.
Yeah, I think that's the.
This
if
guy
you look
right
at
here
it's got a
holding a bolt action.
Right, it's a bolt action instead of a lever.
Yeah, bolt action.
Gate action, which is what the Martini Henry had. Yeah. Yep. You can see it. You can see the bolt action right above his hand there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Sticking down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
But yeah, when I was a kid, I thought this was a cool part, like how they got so much firepower out of it. And all the dead bodies that were in front of it, like they just kept trying to come in a wave and they just gunned them down.
from some of the trivia I looked at, a bunch of the Zulu actors weren't familiar with motion pictures, film, and they actually brought in like silent Harold Lloyd movies to kind of get across the idea of acting and taking direction to them, because it was something that they weren't familiar with and they were having trouble kind of comprehending that and taking direction.
Hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know if they really built a building and then burned it down for the hospital, because you can it's like a real building getting burned.
Yeah, but that's like a cheap construction. That's a quick construction building. It's not like, and it's amenable to flame due to the thatch.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wonder the cost of doing that today versus the cost of paying a team of like 20 CGI artists to make it up in a computer. But sorry, that's my curmudgeon showing again.
Well, I honestly think it depends on the actors. If you got some high profile actors, it'd probably be way more expensive to do an actual shot like this. But otherwise, I think the CGI would be cheaper.
No, yeah, these days with the safety that they'd have to go through shooting the interior scenes, but even just burning it to get that exterior night shot like we saw earlier, there's just something about real fire on film, especially, maybe not so much digital, but on film, it makes a big difference. Oh, yeah, here we are. Oh crap. It's not over. Yeah, even this guy's just like, yep, we're all dead.
Might as well just lay down now, boys.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The Zulus start their song. Yeah, he starts kind of laughing, and I think the other guys think he's laughing just because it's like, all right, it's like the facing your death reaction, but he's the only one there that understands what they're saying, and they're honoring them as warriors. It's like, all right, you put up a good fight. We're done here.
In real life, they didn't do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine.
They just bounced out, and then another army showed up, and then they just kind of stood on the hill and looked at them for a minute. And they thought, yeah, they were screwed. But those guys have been marching for 6 days and hadn't eaten for 2. So they just kind of looked at them and were like, all right, we're out of here. Because they still had a couple more days to march to get back to where they could get like good food and stuff. So they didn't really want to fight.
Yeah, this is definitely the feel-good ending. You can tell.
Yeah.
And this is why one of the reasons why it was praised even among like the Zulu people and all, because it wasn't like, it was just, they didn't make the Zulus look like evil on the way out or whatever. It's just what it was, They had that praise song at the end, and
in the middle of a somber burying their dead scene, and Jay's over here. Later battles, the Zulus modified their tactics to account for tactical cattle.
Luckily, the battle ended before they suffered a total collapse.
Oh,
Batman's on fire. Next stream, he's going to have cow something in his title.
Yeah, just that combination of just like the heaviness of burying your dead, but also the relief that you're alive.
They just lived through a total calamity. Sorry, guys, I can't help it. I'm trying, but every time someone comes on another scene or someone says something, my brain hits another one.
You're utterly out of control.
utterly.
I told myself I wasn't going to contribute. Dang it.
Yeah, but now you're on the horns of a dilemma.
Can we talk about something else instead? Oh, sorry.
We need to
Jay,
stop
what was
bulling
their
around.
beef? Yeah.
It was grounded.
Jacob's just going to kick all of us into the back room so he can finish this out properly.
Yeah. If anybody's watching this and hasn't seen this movie, highly recommend it. It's a pretty good movie.
Oh, it's a great movie. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I think we missed maybe some of the character arcs. About the one guy who was a thief.
Oh, Hook.
Yeah, Hook. Yeah,
Yeah,
his whole story was quite nice.
Well, in real life, he wasn't like that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, they
That's
made
why
him a scoundrel to have some color flair when he enlisted men.
Right.
So we had his story arc, and I mentioned the did I talk before the show or during the beginning? I like the Michael Caine's character who like a total turd at the beginning and really cool at the end.
Oh, that was backstage.
Yeah, it was backstage. Yeah.
So that's what he's my favorite character from because of that arc, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I've been muted for the last 5-10 minutes.
That explains a lot.
Oh, I should have checked for that whenever I wouldn't hear
I was
from you.
Yeah, I was saying they give out how many Victorian crosses have been awarded, and it's like 1,344, and 11 of them were given out at this battle.
At the time of this movie shooting, in '64, there's more now.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Also, I was mistaken. This wasn't the most Victoria Crosses given out for a single action or for a single unit. Those were from in the 1850s in India. There were two times that happened.
Okay.
Yep. It was like the relief of Lucknow or something. It had more, and then there's another battle. I can't remember what it was called, but it was a battle that had, that generated more.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna say this. He's like, they had tangerines. The size of tangerines.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
oh, the Batman. I got it.
You mean they had big cowabungas?
Oh boy.
This is a nice little thing. It probably didn't happen, but everybody else out there is gathering up like war trophies, and he just props one shield up, kind of like out of respect. Nice little touch.
Yeah. And there it is.
So what happened after this is then the British were like, okay, we can't let this stand. And they got an even bigger army. And this time they brought like Gatling guns and stuff.
Go ahead.
And basically just made sure that they had their crap together. They didn't underestimate him anymore. They didn't split their force. They didn't screw around. They just went in and got him. And basically forced the Zulu chief to like sign a treaty. Like they took him all the way to England to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then there was the border wars and all that.
Yep. Well, that was all ongoing at the same time.
Yeah. So yeah, that was good movie. At some point, I'm going to do the Zulu Dawn. At some point.
Oh yeah, that's another good movie.
I have never seen that movie before. I've never seen Zulu Dawn. I didn't even know it existed for some reason. And then I was watching, doing my homework, and I was like, watching it going, is this the director's cut or something? And I don't remember Peter O'Toole being in this. And I know I haven't seen it for a while, but, and I watched it for about 15 minutes. Something's wrong here. I checked out the title. Oh yeah, I'm watching Zulu Dawn. There you go.
Yeah.
It's got, who else is in that? Burt Lancaster is in that, isn't it?
Yep.
Right?
Oh yeah, it's got Burt Lancaster. It's got a bunch of people, famous people in that one.
Yeah, it's got Hopkins. What's his name? I played in Hook.
Bob Hopkins.
Bob Hoskins was in it.
Bob Hopkins.
Yeah, he was a sergeant, I think, in that one.
He would have been a good hobbit or dwarf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in like Lord of the Rings or something. Yeah,
probably a dwarf because he's a little too grumpy in real life to be a cheerful hobbit.
You haven't done A Bridge Too Far, have you?
No, I haven't.
That's another good.
That's a good
movie. Yeah, it's like
it is
78. That's a good movie.
So yeah, any final thoughts on this movie?
Watch it.
Yeah, go check it out.
I think I probably enjoyed it a little bit less than everybody else. Mostly, I just felt like it could have been cut down a little bit. The story could have been told without losing any impact in like maybe an hour 45.
They could have lost the whole singing scene with both of them sets singing. I always kind of like when that happens, and maybe a little bit of the hospital stuff, not the fighting, but
that was a good
around part where he's
I don't know exactly which parts, but to me,
well, the part where the lady goes in there and then they tear her shirt or whatever, they could totally skip all that. She does not go in there.
Yeah, well, she doesn't have any kind of like nothing really.
Yeah, exactly.
She doesn't arc with her character important afterwards. So yeah,
a lot of the crazy reverend scenes could have been cut out.
Yeah, yep. They could have totally just got rid of him. Just had him like roll up to the place, be like, "Hey, the Zulus are coming later," and then bounced out.
That's why I was kind of wondering what they're trying to do with those
Anybody wants to come on.
Trying to say something with them,
right?
It just felt like they were trying to do something with them, but it just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah, it didn't quite work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. In real life, the Reverend led the Cal civilians to safety.
But I mean, overall, it was pretty good. I think I need to go back and rewatch it again. But you know, I don't regret watching it. And as far as I'm concerned, if I don't regret watching a film, it's good enough.
Yeah,
agree.
He gave them a speech. He gave the cows a speech about not killing.
Oh, and that's why they left. Yeah.
Turn not your cows into your fellow cows into stew. For the Lord saith, "If you turn the other horn, shall be blessed."
Yeah, for months, those cows have been seeing their fellow cows cut up and put into stew. The same stew.
The Reverend should have led the cavalry.
Oh,
Good one, Jay.
Good one. So yeah, that was Zulu. Fantastic movie.
Yep.
Highly recommend it. Go watch it now. Do it. It's actually free on Tubi, so you can watch it on there.
yeah.
Mhm.
And Zulu Dawn is free on there too. So hey,
I can't remember what I watched it on. I watched it on something.
Yeah, I
but
watched it on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, with like ads or something. So it wasn't bad. It was just like
Yeah.
watching it on TV in the old days.
Yeah.
Except,
Yeah.
the ads are crappier now.
Yeah.
Yes. Bring back the old ads. They're better.
And the old ads full of like beer chicks in bikinis were preferred.
Yeah. So we'll go around the horn here and put our stuff that's coming out. So Beard, what do you got going?
Let's see. Tomorrow night, I always forget the time, but people can follow me on Twix to find out all the details because I pop up everywhere. But tomorrow night, I'm probably gonna jump in with Devil Made Me Do It and the usual crowd over on the YouTube channel Beelzehub, and we'll dive into some political discussion. And then on Saturday, on After the Weekend, JT's out of town, and so it's going to be me, R2, and special guest Untamed Mando. We'll be discussing some pop culture topics. Haven't really cemented exactly what we've got going yet. By the way, Mando, if nobody's told you, I'm going to call you out right here on the stream. If anything strikes your fancy throughout the week and you think we should talk about it, let us know. We kind of throw that together.
Yeah,
and it
R2
might
and
be
I have
like
been talking a little bit.
yeah, it's sometimes like last minute when we finally decide exactly what we're going to do because the news changes throughout the week, even in weird pop culture stuff. So I've got that. And then the next thing will be that Monday of next week. After the weekend, JT is still out of town, so it's going to be me and R2 revisiting the 1980 film The Final Countdown.
Final
count.
Final countdown. You're welcome for that song being stuck in your head.
Yeah, I don't think that song's in that movie, is it?
Now it is.
Beard, or Shieldwall, what do you got going?
So tomorrow, if Zach isn't dying from the plague or whatever, I'm supposed to be on his channel at 8:00 Mountain Time to go over episode 9 and 10 of Shogun, or episode 10 of Shogun. Anyway, but it's a great show, so I'm going to be on that. And then on Thursday, I'm going to be on Roman's show at 5 Pacific. And we're going to be talking about rock music from 2000 to 2024, like heavy metal stuff. So
cool.
It should be fun.
Yeah, I've got some memes for that.
Use your powers for good. Unless Roman's involved, it just indulge the evil side.
Do I have to? Oh. Yeah, what do you see? One of the I got some like heavy metal band covers and replaced faces, and Roman's is pretty good.
I can't wait.
Yes, and Ginger.
Oh,
what you got?
Hello.
Going?
Oh, this is
so good.
Thank you. For me, I'm just getting ready for Osaka Comic Con. I'm going to be leaving this Sunday, so I'm going to be live streaming once or twice a day. So if you want to check out, you're doing some live artwork there. Be doing commissions. Well, hopefully commissions. If anyone is, generous enough to purchase one off of me. Angry Canadian's going to be helping me out there. So, excuse me, sorry. Be on the lookout for that. And other than that, just working on this stuff. Oh, and thank you for everybody out
Yeah,
there on
so
Twitter
good.
who helped vote for. I just want everybody's opinions on prints and stuff that I was going to make because I've just been working a whole bunch on these characters, and I was wanting to print some new stuff print some new merch to have up at the booth. And thank you for everybody out there who gave me their opinion. Appreciate it. Yeah, but that's all for now. Thank you again for having me on the show.
Yep. Good to have you. And
Always a
thanks for the
pleasure.
artwork. That is
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you. It's I'm working in gouache today. It's different than what I usually work in. So I've been really hooked on this medium as of late. So I thought that the red in his jacket would be perfect with this flame red gouache color that I have. So
It is that red in that
yeah.
jacket
Yeah,
looks
definitely.
I really wanted it to
really
stand
good.
out. Yeah.
Yeah,
the color is
Yeah.
really popping. I didn't
And
know if it was
with
just
the
color
blue
selection
background.
or if it was
Yeah.
something else, but it's really standing out.
Well, I leave myself with a limited palette. That way I broke down and used turquoise, but only in the sky. Everything else is just 4 colors. Just a yellow ochre, white, flame red, and an ultramarine blue.
Limitations breed creativity.
I completely agree with that. And that's what I've been trying to do as of late. So yeah, it's always fun. Listen, just
Yeah,
talking and talking about good stuff.
It definitely has the feel of artwork from Last of the Mohicans. If you've seen
Yes, that
book
was all
art
done by
from
Howard
that.
Pyle. Howard Pyle,
Yeah,
he did a
Howard
lot of
Pyle.
those along with N.C. Wyeth, the
Right.
the father of Andrew Wyeth, who did Christine's, what's it called? Oh my gosh, the girl laying down on the field who's looking up at the house. It's a very
Right.
famous painting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like N.C. Wyeth, he did stuff for Treasure Island and things like that.
Oh, you're talking about it's like a farmhouse.
Christina's World. Christina's World or Christina's World.
It's like a farmhouse on a hill or something.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, and that's
Yeah.
the father
Right.
of
Mhm.
N.C. Wyeth, who did a lot of these like Night of the Round Table and stuff like that. I always get the guys mixed up, N.C. Wyeth and Howard Pyle, because their artwork is extremely similar. They came from the same school, I believe. But if you
Yeah.
do get a chance, check those guys out. They're wonderful artwork.
Took
And
me a
that's
while
what
to
I grew
Yeah, I
up
think
looking at.
N.C. Wyeth also did for the book Treasure Island.
Yes,
Did a lot of cool artworks for that too.
Yes, they're amazing. The work for Treasure Island is just really, really cool. So, yeah. Thank you. Good times. Good times.
Thank you. Yep, very good time.
I apologize. I don't talk
Mando.
too much, but you guys always have all the good knowledge. So I just gotta listen and draw.
It makes it even more funny whenever you
That's
just
all
show up
right.
with a random pun. So,
Well, yeah, I have to choose my
Yeah.
timing.
What you really got to watch out for are the black tactical cows with raccoons riding them.
Mm.
They're deadly.
Those aluminum raccoons.
Deadly combination. Yeah. Mando, what do you got coming up?
So tomorrow I'll be on my Twitch/Kick channel playing the game called Possessions. It's a cool little game. Thursday I will be on Dames and Dorks, so that'll be fun. And then Saturday I will be doing some D&D and also on After the Weekend. So yeah, got a full week this week.
Yep, cool. Matt, what do you got?
I just dropped my Shogun Episode 8 review earlier today. I was just on Pop's channel. We reviewed Spider-Man 2. So that should be live up there. Thursday, I'll be on Roman's show for the best heavy metal band or our favorite heavy metal bands of the century. I got my Friday show, which should be back on this Friday. Real life canceled it basically the last 2 Fridays. And the moral of the story is never let other people start IT work on a Friday afternoon, especially when you don't tell anyone about it. And I'll give the full story on my show because it's kind of funny in a way. What else? Well, obviously, I'll have 2 more Shogun reviews out probably by Monday at 9 and 10. Maybe another episode of Sharp by then. And I might start doing because Otis from the White Cloaks, he got me interested in rewatching the 1990s Ivanhoe miniseries, so I might review that. That's and
Cool.
on a smaller channel called The Questioners, which is kind of a spin-off of the White Cloaks. We get into these long videos where we start just reviewing / making fun of these woke Tolkien presentations from fake Tolkien scholars. Like, remember those fake conferences they've been having, Mando, with all their woke presentations, like the gay and Tolkien and all that,
Oh,
yeah. So we've been reviewing. And what happened is that we spent so much time ripping on them and going into tangents, which are more interesting in the topic. They become 7-hour discussions, but it's the chunks of. I mean, you could just drop on any of the 7 hours of each of them and get some interesting stuff out of it. Any given half an hour, except when actually playing the video that we're debunking. So that's what I've been doing.
Okay, cool.
That's a total account of my actions.
Oh, good. We need
Just had to get
a
one
shot
more in there.
Yep, had to get one more in.
Okay, and for me,
we should probably
next week
move
will be.
on.
Oh.
Yeah. Jacob needs to steer this back into the right direction.
Bulls. Yeah, so next week for me, I will be doing the movie Sergeant York, 1941. Good movie.
Oh, cool.
It's one of my all-time favorite movies. Top 5.
Yep, it's a good one. Well, that's all I got. And thanks to everybody in the panel for coming on. And
here's a little preview.
Movie.
Sergeant York does not need an army of cows to help him. No cows. So yeah, thanks to the panel for coming on and talking about this movie, and thanks to the chat for hanging. And we will see y'all next week. Have a good one, everybody.
Awesome. Yep. Have a good one.
Later.
Peace.